Hi, this is Dr. Jason, evidence-based chiropractor from Toronto. Today I'll be doing a quick 30-minute home workout to address my calf strain that I sustained a couple of days ago. I'm just training for a half marathon right now and I have about 3 weeks to go. During today's workout, I'll probably be talking a little bit about nutrition and maybe a little bit injury, so stay tuned. Part of the reason why I wanted to talk about nutrition is because there are many things we could focus on. However, if you want to be healthy, there are only a couple of things in the grand scheme of things that you can do to be healthy, which is eating proper diet, nutrition, sleeping and recovering well, exercise regularly and frequently, and managing stress. And out of these things, exercise and nutrition are the easiest ways for us to make some behavior changes. And those behavior changes, especially through repetition, through consistency, will lead to greater and more effective results. When it comes to nutrition, because it's such a broad field, there are so many different things we can talk about or focus on. However, in general, what we want to have in terms of a proper diet is that you want a diet that consists of a variety of different sources of nutrients. Generally speaking, especially that I live in Canada, in terms of Health Canada food guidelines, they recommend about half of, let's say, a meal, whether it's dinner or lunch, should consist of fruits and vegetables, and a quarter of it should consist of some sort of carbohydrates, whether it's pasta, rice, noodles, quinoa, And then the last quarter should be some sort of protein source, whether it's plant-based, things like beans, tofu, soy, or could be some sort of meat, poultry, or fish. So once you have that balanced proportion, that in general is considered a healthy, balanced meal. And that would potentially or probably give you at least most of the nutrients that you need that would be able to sustain your activities. And of course, if you're a bigger individual or if you're a smaller individual, you want to adjust the portion of that entire meal. However, the proportion or the division of those different types of nutrients are still going to be relatively similar. And yeah. And with nutrition, especially now, there's lots of information on social media. On one end, there could be a lot of really helpful resources, accounts that are evidence-based, that use reasoning and logic, that's providing a lot of good information. On the other hand, there are a lot of fitness influencers, people that, or even licensed practitioners, healthcare providers, dietitians, they could be misinforming the public as well. So it is really challenging for a lot of people to figure out what's the right source information and what's wrong when it comes to nutrition. Now, generally speaking, there's no bad or good food. There are definitely food that are more nutrient dense that could provide us with lots of benefits. And of course, there are other food that's highly processed, that could have not as could still provide you with some nutrition. However, the amount of good nutrients might not be enough. And if we focus too much on eating that type of food, or a big portion of our meal is highly processed, then of course it takes away our ability to eat some of those more highly nutrient dense food. So generally speaking, let's say chips, for example. Again, given the right context, it could be very beneficial or it could be not so great. So, and also the dosage or the amount of what we eat makes a huge difference. Now, if I'm generally eating really healthy, really balanced, if I eat a handful of chips, it's not going to have any big negative consequence. On the other hand, if I don't eat that well, I always get takeout. I eat a lot of junk food to begin with, and I eat like 3 bags of chips in one sitting watching a movie. Of course, that's going to have some negative consequences to our body. On the other hand, let's say if people are starving in certain parts of the world and they're barely scraping by, and if you give them a bag of chips, that bag of chips could be something that will save their lives. So when it comes to nutrition, context does matter, and the amount, the dosage matters. On the same note, let's say broccoli, generally very nutrient dense, good for us. If we only eat broccoli and we eat so much of it, then we're still only getting the nutrients that broccoli gives us, but not enough of the nutrients, or at all of the nutrients that comes from other sources of food. And that's why we need a balanced meal. We want to have diversity within our meal so that we could get lots of different type of nutrients that our body needs. And of course, if you have certain health conditions, if you have certain deficiencies, if you have excess of certain nutrients, of course you want to speak to your healthcare provider, get some informed, educated, and evidence-based health tip that works, or nutrition tips that work specifically in your case. Now, with nutrition, there are so many different types of diet, whether it is vegetarian, vegan, paleo, ketogenic, carnivorous. Generally speaking, there are also some, patented or copyrighted, the Atkins diet, Bernstein diet. Again, generally speaking, there's no one diet that's superior to the other diet. And especially in certain cases, let's say for fat loss, perhaps certain diets are a little bit easier to attain that fat loss or weight loss. However, the evidence still not super conclusive, at least the evidence that I've read. In addition, what happens that with a lot of these diets, they're highly restrictive. For example, a carnivorous diet, they're primarily meat. So all the nutrients that you get is from animal sources. Whereas you're not getting enough fiber, you're not getting enough carbohydrates, you're not getting enough some of the essential nutrients that you may be able to get from plants and carbohydrates. So again, if you have a specific health condition, perhaps that diet may be favorable for your condition. However, based on what I know, especially for carnivorous diet, is not true. On the other end of the spectrum, when you have a vegan diet, what happens is that you're missing a lot of the nutrients from the animal-based products. So you could potentially get into issues with having low iron or certain vitamins like B12. So in those cases, you may need to supplement a little bit with supplementation, whether it's in the form of a capsule or something else. And those are topics that I'm not super familiar with, even though I do have some understanding. Now, with those types of diet that are restrictive, in a way, it helps us to discipline ourselves. However, if we're deprived of certain food, the moment that we kind of get loose, I guess, you might, or the moment where you start to, the moment that you stop doing that specific diet and you actually eat the things that you're not supposed to eat in excess. Again, when that dosage is so high, that could have way more detrimental effects on your body versus if you have a diet that's overall rounded, you're not restricting or limiting or depriving yourself of certain things, then you're less likely to binge eat certain type of food that may not be as helpful or nutritious for us. So again, generally speaking, there's no one diet that's superior than the other diet, another type of diet. A more well-balanced, well-rounded diet that consists lots of whole foods, lots of vegetable and fruits, good amount of carbohydrates and protein. That in general is the best diet, and that's the most sustainable. That's probably a lot more cost effective, and as well as just easy to sustain and maintain. just a quick background regarding my left calf injury. I sustained it a couple days ago. Today's Tuesday, so on Sunday, I went for a long run, about just under 16 kilometers. I felt it at around kilometer 11. Just a soreness, there wasn't any sharp pain or anything, and it kind of gradually built up. And when I stopped for a little break, I felt quite sore when I restarted my run. However, it did ease off a little bit until the next time I stopped. So to me, it's a pretty mild injury. However, there's less than 3 weeks left to my race, so I do have to put in a little bit of work so that hopefully it's not going to get worse. A lot of times, there's probably no structural damage to my calf. It's just that I've kind of overloaded that area and my capacity is kind of below that load. So my body is becoming more sensitized. So, and of course there could be some physiological explanation of that. So what I'm trying to do is that I want to gradually load it so my body is used to that load, and over time it will slowly desensitize that area. So yeah, I initially thought about going for a run today, and I decided not to because tomorrow I'm probably going to do a group run, and that group run usually they go pretty fast. So I want to just save myself a little bit, and hopefully I can keep up with those guys and girls during the group run. Yeah. No. What do you need? Okay. Good luck. Okay. Sorry for the interruption. That was actually my wife. She was giving a talk online. So she's trying to tell me to not make any big noises. So now let's talk a little bit about supplementation. Supplementation in general could be beneficial for certain individuals, especially if they have a dietary need. However, a lot of times we don't necessarily need to spend that money. And again, especially when we have a well-balanced, well-rounded diet from various different sources of food. However, in Health Canada, at least based on my limited knowledge, especially during wintertime, we do want to supplement with vitamin D And the reason why that is because during the winter time, especially in Canada, we don't get as much sunlight, and when we don't get enough sunlight, our skin, our body does not produce enough vitamin D for the absorption of calcium, which is beneficial for our bone quality. So even if we eat enough calcium, or if we supplement with calcium, if we don't have enough vitamin D, our body cannot use that calcium efficiently to strengthen and maintain our bone quality. On the other, I guess, in terms of other supplements, at least I'm not aware of any other guidelines that's evidence-based that tells us that we need to routinely take supplements. Now, obviously, if your goal is to strength train and gain muscle mass, it may be beneficial to take supplements like creatine. There's some good research that suggests creatine has overall positive effects on muscle growth and hypertrophy. And of course, supplementing with some protein, whether it's whey isolate, there's some other different types of whey formulation. It could be a plant-based protein supplementation that could be beneficial as well. Again, there is some general guidelines on how much protein we should be consuming, not just supplementation, but just general, based on your body mass. I'm sure you can look that up. I won't step outside of my lane to talk about something I'm not super familiar with the specific dosage. In addition, a lot of supplements, they're more so just, somebody market it in a certain way that's appealing to you. You may more likely to get it. If you see it at a Costco, big bottle, not that expensive. Sometimes you could give it a try, especially if you don't have any allergic reaction to certain things in the supplements. However, generally speaking, I'd say do not spend that much money on supplementation. I'd rather you spend that money on healthy, nutrient-dense food, or go use that money on your chiropractor, or spend that money for a gym membership. I think those may be more cost-effective ways to spend your money. But again, it's not my money, it's your money, so spend however you want to spend. Let's see, what else? I'll come back. Another thing I wanted to talk about supplementation is that with supplements and natural products, they're regulated differently than, let's say, drugs. For drugs, they have something called Drug Identification Number, DIN. So when drug is approved by either FDA in US or Health Canada, they have to go through a very rigorous process so that the quality control of the drug is up there. So whatever the label that you see, this tablet is, let's say 5 milligram, the level of discrepancy of that drug will be very, very minimal. Of course, it could still have some discrepancy from tablet to tablet. However, because it's so rigorous, it is very minimal differences. However, with vitamins, supplements, these products, the discrepancy could be very high. So when, let's say, a tablet or a capsule that's, let's say, of whatever supplement that is, if it's 5 milligram, it could contain double the dosage, or it could contain a third of the dosage. Again, don't quote me specific on the amount. I'm just trying to say that the discrepancy could be there and could be pretty high. So that's why we need to make sure when we're taking supplements, it's from a big company that's reputable. And of course, if you have friends or family or multiple people that could vouch for some product because they've seen benefits, then try to go for those type of products rather than, off some, Facebook marketplace, off of some, store that you see on the side of the streets. Again, a lot of times people think a lot of the products are natural, hence they're good for you, but that's not the case. A lot of the poison that may kill us are natural, right? Whether it's from plants, whether it's from animals. So just because something's natural doesn't mean it's necessarily good for you. And also, a lot of times, again, not for everyone, of course, certain supplements, vitamins, or drugs, they could have pretty detrimental effects on a specific individual, especially when they have certain health issues. So that's why you want to try to caution. And in addition, a lot of times, just because something's not harmful to you doesn't mean it's beneficial or effective. So just, again, use your judgment, do your own sort of information gathering, and speak to highly trained individuals, or at least individuals with lots of knowledge, whether it's your chiropractor, your physio, your physician, naturopath. These providers can definitely give you lots of good, potentially good advice. However, if you do want a really good quality evidence advice on nutrition, supplements, and such, I would highly recommend you go see a registered dietitian, not a nutritionist, because they can get their certification anywhere online. However, a registered dietitian, they're a licensed healthcare provider that are specifically trained in nutritional, certain aspects of nutrition and nutritional science. So for those licensed providers, I would likely to trust them a little bit more. Anyhow, that's my workout. That's about 32 minutes. During this workout, I did a little bit of calf specific exercises. Again, nothing fancy. And I did some general upper body and lower body strengthening exercises. Hope you liked this video and some of the content and some of the information I provided you, especially with nutrition. If you have any questions, concerns, or comments, please, you can leave those in the comment section below, or you can reach me on Instagram. You can send me a DM anytime. I'll try my best to get back to you. Peace.